Imagine standing on your balcony staring out over a misty morning city. The hum of cars, the echo of life, all suddenly drowned out by a sound so deep it shakes your chest. A roar, ancient, thunderous, alive. The ground trembles. In the distance, a colossal shadow moves between skyscrapers, its tail sweeping across the skyline like a living storm. Humanity isn't alone on this planet anymore. It never was, because in this world the dinosaurs never went extinct. 66 million years ago, a single moment reshaped the fate of life on Earth. A meteor 6 miles wide struck the Yucatan Peninsula with a force greater than every nuclear weapon ever created combined. The result, the end of an era. The age of dinosaurs was wiped clean in a geological instant. But what if it didn't happen? What if that asteroid missed Earth by just a few thousand miles? What if the sky never fell, and the reign of the dinosaurs continued unbroken? To imagine that world, we must erase humanity as we know it. Because if dinosaurs had survived, the entire course of evolution, every mammal, every primate, every ancestor of ours would have been forced to live in their shadow. The first mammals would remain small, hiding in darkness, while the giants above roamed freely. Evolution would still push forward, but in entirely different directions. Let's start with the world itself. Without the mass extinction, the planet's climate would have stayed warm and lush for millions more years. Dense tropical forests would stretch from pole to pole, blanketing the continents in green. The world would be hotter, wetter, and far more oxygen-rich. Volcanoes and ferns would define the skyline, not cities or satellites. The air would feel heavy, alive, filled with the calls of creatures the size of buses and the flutter of wings with spans longer than a fighter jet. The dominant species, the dinosaurs, would continue to evolve. But they wouldn't stay the same. Evolution never rests. Over tens of millions of years, they'd adapt to changing ecosystems, competing with one another for dominance. We'd see faster, smarter, perhaps even more social predators. Raptors, already intelligent hunters, could have evolved pack strategies rivaling those of wolves. Herbivores like hadrosaurs might develop thicker armor or sophisticated communication to survive. And then there's the most fascinating question of all: could intelligence like ours have emerged from them? Paleontologists have long debated whether some dinosaur lineages, particularly the Troodontids, were already showing signs of high intelligence. They had large brain-to-body ratios, forward-facing eyes, and grasping hands. If they'd continued evolving, they might have crossed the threshold from animal instinct to abstract thought. Imagine a world where the dominant intelligent species isn't human but reptilian. Cities built of stone and bone. Scaled architects crafting societies millions of years before ours. Fire discovered not by apes, but by creatures with talons and tails. But before we leap that far ahead, let's stay grounded in science, in what would actually happen step by step. First, ecosystems. The survival of dinosaurs would prevent mammals from expanding into large ecological niches. No elephants, no whales, no humans. The mammals that existed, small, nocturnal, insect-eating, would remain in the margins. Evolution would favor stealth and survival, not dominance. That means no rise of primates, no opposable thumbs shaping tools from stone, no civilization. The age of reptiles would never end. Second, geography. As continents drifted, new climates would challenge the dinosaurs. Ice ages might still come, and some species would adapt by shrinking, developing feathers, or insulating scales to survive colder regions. Yes, feathers, because many dinosaurs already had them, not for flight, but for warmth and display. In this alternate Earth, feathers could become as common as fur, a world of technicolor creatures, scales and feathers gleaming beneath a hotter sun. And what of the oceans? Marine reptiles like Mosasaurs and plesiosaurs, spared from extinction, would dominate the seas. The first whales would never appear. Instead, vast reptilian predators would patrol the depths, while ammonites, ancient shelled cephalopods, might still spiral through the currents, surviving where they once vanished. The oceans would belong to them, not us. As millions of years passed, evolution would create new branches on the dinosaur family tree. Some massive, others small and agile. Perhaps the smaller species would become as diverse as birds today, filling every conceivable niche. Flying reptiles, pterosaurs, might grow smaller and more agile, mastering flight in ways birds never did. The skies would shimmer with leathery wings and vibrant feathers, hunting insects that evolved under constant reptilian pressure. Earth's surface would be a battlefield of balance, predators and prey locked in eternal adaptation. The T-Rex might not exist in its original form, but something like it would. Bigger, smarter, more efficient, maybe with binocular vision, improved metabolism, even rudimentary problem-solving intelligence. In the forests, smaller dinosaurs would stalk like panthers, moving through ferns and vines that have never known an axe or fire. But then comes the question of power. Nature abhors equilibrium. Sooner or later, one species always rises above the rest. If intelligence favored survival, perhaps evolution would nudge certain dinosaurs toward it. The Troodontids, small, fast, bright, could become the reptilian version of our primates. They might stand upright, their hands evolving dexterity for manipulating objects, using tools, maybe even creating shelter. Over millions of years, they could build communities, social hierarchies, and eventually civilizations. If that sounds far-fetched, remember, intelligence is just another survival strategy. We see it in crows, dolphins, octopuses, and apes. If a meteor hadn't struck, nature might have granted it to reptiles instead. So what would that civilization look like? Imagine a city not of steel and glass, but of stone and volcanic glass, built into cliffs or ancient lava plains. Creatures with scales of emerald and amber walking upright, communicating in low resonant tones, their eyes reflecting the light of bioluminescent plants that evolved under their care. Their tools made not of metal, but carved obsidian, sharpened teeth, and hardened bone. They might not invent electricity, not yet. But fire, chemistry, and primitive engineering could still flourish. The planet's balance, however, would hang by a thread. For as intelligence rises, so does ambition and destruction. Dinosaurs, like humans, would face the same fundamental conflict to control nature, or to coexist with it. And this is where evolution's story might repeat itself in a different form. If these intelligent reptiles expanded their territories, hunted for resources, and fought among themselves, they might develop weapons, strategies, even wars. Imagine a civilization of raptors mastering tactics long before the dawn of man, organized packs not for hunting prey, but for conquering rivals. History could unfold in scales and claws, not swords and armor. But nature always balances its scales. New predators, new diseases, climate shifts, even a smaller asteroid impact could change their path again, forcing adaptation or extinction all over. The cycle never ends, it only changes its cast. And yet, amidst this alien Earth, one truth remains: evolution finds a way to create intelligence, but not necessarily humanity. Now, let's shift the lens to us. What if, somehow, mammals had managed to survive in the shadows of this reptilian empire? Perhaps small nocturnal creatures evolving quietly, hidden in crevices, observing the great scaled rulers above. Over tens of millions of years, some might adapt to coexist, scavengers, parasites, underground dwellers. We would be the whispers in the dark, not the masters of the world. No fire, no cities, no history books. Just survival in a world that never belonged to us. But here's the twist. Evolution is patient. Even under the rule of giants, small creatures can find paths to thrive. Perhaps, deep in the jungles of this alternate Earth, an intelligent mammal species could still rise, not to dominate, but to survive intelligently. They might study the dinosaurs from below, learning, hiding, waiting. And if one day, reptilian intelligence and mammalian intelligence coexisted, the result could be unimaginable. Two civilizations, one cold-blooded, ancient, and instinct-driven, the other warm-blooded, creative, and adaptive, sharing the same planet. Cooperation or annihilation? That's where the next part of our story begins. When intelligence meets intelligence and history takes a turn neither evolution nor fate could predict. Would the dinosaurs and early humans share a world, or destroy it trying? The world has changed. Millions of years have passed since the dinosaurs avoided extinction, And now, two forms of intelligence breathe beneath the same sky. The reptilian civilization, ancient, disciplined, and instinctual, dominates the surface. Their cities rise from volcanic plains and river deltas, sculpted from obsidian and bone, glimmering faintly beneath twin suns of dusk. Meanwhile, deep beneath the canopy and within caverns, a small but determined species of mammal has evolved. Upright, clever, resourceful. Not human as we know it, but close. Their faces soft, their minds curious, their hearts defiant. Two worlds, one cold-blooded, one warm. Two paths converging toward the inevitable. At first, there is distance. The reptilian beings, descendants of the Troodontids, rule with quiet reverence for balance. They are architects of stone and order, guided by instinct honed through wounds of survival. The mammals, however, are dreamers. They light fires in the dark, paint on cave walls, whisper stories of the sky. And where the dinosaurs build to endure, the mammals build to imagine. But as both civilizations grow, space begins to fade. Resources become contested. Forests burn. The reptilian scholars, cold analytical, see mammals as disruptive, dangerous. Warmth to them means chaos. Yet, the mammals, driven by emotion and creativity, refuse to submit. They see the dinosaurs as gods turned tyrants, ancient beasts clinging to power. Conflict brews, not in sudden war, but in slow erosion. A border village lost here, a sacred forest burned there, the air grows tense. Evolution's experiment teeters on the edge. And then, the first contact. A young mammal explorer, curious beyond fear, stumbles into a reptilian city. What she sees defies her understanding: temples carved from mountains, glowing glyphs etched in scales of long-dead ancestors, music made not with instruments but with vibration. Deep, resonant tones that move through the earth itself. The reptiles study her, not with cruelty but calculation. For the first time in history, two intelligent eyes meet across the gulf of species. Predator and prey, creator and dreamer. Communication begins with symbols, then sound, then shared memory. They learn from each other. The reptiles teach architecture, discipline, the laws of nature's balance. The mammals teach imagination, empathy, the fire of invention. For a time, there is peace, trade, exchange. But peace is fragile, for while some saw unity, others saw weakness. The reptilian High Council feared contamination, emotion, unpredictability. The one thing evolution had spared them for millions of years. To feel was to lose control. And for the mammals, submission meant extinction. Tensions explode. Cities burn in blue flame. The forests that once hid the mammals become battlegrounds. For centuries, the earth trembles beneath the war of two minds, one guided by instinct, the other by passion. The oceans rise. The sky darkens with ash. Civilization, both scales and skin, begins to crumble. In the end, neither wins. Nature reclaims what it lent. The dinosaurs' empires fall to dust, their monuments swallowed by vines. The mammals, scattered and scarred, retreat to the shadows once more, survivors of a fire they helped ignite. The planet cools, silent again. Millions of years later, a new creature rises. Smaller, curious, walking on two legs. It looks to the stars, unaware of the civilizations buried beneath its feet. The fossils it finds tell stories of beasts with teeth like blades and bones like iron. It wonders what they were like, never knowing the truth that once they looked back. And in some distant layer of earth, deep beneath the roots of time, two ancient skulls rest side by side, one scaled, one soft, locked forever in the silence of what might have been. Perhaps extinction was mercy. Perhaps survival is the true disaster. The line between creation and destruction is thin, thinner than an asteroid's shadow, and maybe, in some other universe, they're still walking side by side beneath a sun that never set.